going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And my friends, yet another amazing guest this morning, all the way from England, my friends. We've got Jas on, and he's going to talk about some tips to attract some eyeballs to your content. And I am super excited to talk to him. Jas, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hiya, thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
Where exactly are you calling in from the old UK?
So I'm in the south at the moment, so I'm in Kent.
All right. Never been there. Have to make it over, man. Ever been to Florida?
Once, yeah, when I was a kid, went to a Club Med. I'm not sure if there are multiple there, but yeah, it was great. Loved it.
Never been to one, so wouldn't know. Thought you were going to say Disney. Anyways, well, hey, man, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Talk to us about why you got started with internet marketing and kind of what attracted you or led you to this industry or this space in the first place.
Yes, it's actually pretty much a year ago today now. So I just go in bit of context. I spent about 9 years studying 3 degrees to get into the legal field. Only to find that when I was in it for a couple of years, it really wasn't what I was enjoying. I went into it purely for financial reasons, and then subsequently made a decision, which was really hard to get out of it, and move across to sales because, it's a foundational skill that translates across to basically any industry. But again, found myself just wanting more, which is then, I had 2 years in that industry in sales, still in it now, but, still working on this on the side. And just felt I needed more, right? Wanted more freedom, wanted more financially, locationally, and time, basically. That's one thing we can't get back. You can't buy more time. So I came across one of the affiliates for Legendary, Chelsea at the time, and thought it sounded really interesting. I started off with a couple of other things beforehand, but I found that I resonated more with the affiliate marketing side of things, especially with some sales knowledge, that side of things. It all translated across. So decided to bite the bullet and jump in and join the blueprints, which were, I was doing 3 degrees. It was almost like doing another degree, but into something that was translatable into something and potentially financial almost immediately, right? It's a real world skill that you could then jump out, apply, and potentially make money off of, which was very attractive. And, having done what I did previously, it took a long time to get into industries that I wasn't interested in, right? So that was the primary function on why I decided to join. And yeah, I've been running with it for the last year now.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, it's interesting that you talk all this about, the difference between or contrasting your experiences with education. It's kind of interesting that college and university and the traditional education route is so socially acceptable, but taking a course online is this big taboo thing. Your experience is quite the opposite, huh?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, especially here in the UK, I'm not too sure about the processes over in the US, but it seems to be that degrees nowadays are a tick box exercise, right? To apply for a company, you just need to have on your resume that you've done a degree. Whereas, you can basically go into anything. It could be a degree in something that you're never going to use, but the fact that you have a degree is a qualification for you to apply for a job, right? And I don't now use my legal degrees. Yes, great. They give me a base understanding of a lot of things which are transferable. But at the end of the day, I spent a long time of my life where I could have been doing, like, had I started when I was 18 instead of doing my legal degrees, I could be 10 years into my career by now, But I think it's through the things that you do in your early life that sort of lead you to where you want to go. I mean, I would never have known that this is what I would be interested in come 28 years old. But you have to go through the things and try things. That's the time to try, to be able to figure out what you might want to do with your life.
Yeah, man, it's good to hear from somebody who has the perspective that you do, because I'm shouting this stuff from the rooftops for years now, and it's difficult to work against the programming that society has programmed us all with. And when we get back into kind of the swing of things, as we have now that the pandemic is over, the pandemic shifted a lot of people's perspectives, and they were more open-minded to a lot of things. Whereas now that the time has wore off a little bit, people are all getting back into their very sleepy hypnosis and their trance state that society, now politics is the main headlines, elections, assassination attempts, everything else that is, our little problems in our life. We get back into just the normal kind of groove of living life and forget about where are you going to be in 5 years with the plan that you have right now? Like, where are you going to be in 5 years? Are you going to be in the same place with the same problems? Because if you're not in a new place with new problems, are you really on the right path? I want new problems in 5 years. I want to have a whole new set of problems that I'm overcoming, challenges that I'm dealing with. And if I'm following the traditional route, I'm likely still bickering with my boss over the same problems that I'm bickering about right now, or complaining about my coworkers and how I don't like them, and complaining about traffic. These are all things that can be changed. They're going to take work. They're going to take commitment. They're going to take discipline. What's the difference in your perspective from working a job to being an entrepreneur? What have been some of the biggest things that somebody needs to be aware of and perhaps ready to deal with in making that leap?
Well, either way, it's hard, right? You just have to choose your hard.
Mm.
It's what do you want? What you're doing right now. If you sit down and think about it, right? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Like, it's a serious question. Where do you want to be in 5, 10 years? And then what you're doing currently, is that aligned to make you hit that goal? I grew up internationally. I came back to the UK for school. I don't want to continue to be in the UK. I want to go back to being internationally. But, where I am now, will that align to those goals? Potentially. But running something for myself and, not having to be overly worried or concerned about whether you'd be able to afford to do simple things, or ask my boss to do simple things. Like, my partner's grandma died recently, and she had to ask work to take time off. Like, things happen in life, and I don't want to be beholden to somebody else to determine whether or not I can do things that I want to do in my life. I want to run my own life. That comes with its own share of risks, right? There's no guarantee that you're going to succeed in what you do, but so there's a phrase that I like. So it's consistency doesn't guarantee success, but being inconsistent guarantees failure, right? You have to give something a go if you want it to work. There's no guarantee, but I mean, where is there a guarantee in life? Does where you're at now align to where you see yourself in 10 years? If the answer is no, what do you then do to change that? How do you then align yourself to meet that goal?
Good stuff. Good stuff. So talk to us a little bit about, this, this idea of getting more eyeballs on your content. What tips, what discoveries, what, learning lessons have you had around creating content that you can share that would be, useful and powerful for those listening in?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said previously, I was doing MMO content before, and barely scratching 3,000 to 4,000 views for almost 11 months. And things weren't kicking off. But first and foremost, I didn't really enjoy the content, right? I did it because I wasn't really sure where I was going afterwards. And it seemed to be a popular one that lots of people were doing. So I tried to join the trend. Since then, I've just had to sit down to think about what I might actually enjoy doing, right? I've been in a relationship now for 7 years. Me and my missus, we obviously, as a lot of people, we've been through a lot of relatable things, right? So that's what I'm posting now because I find it funny, it's relatable, and so do a lot of other people. So what do you enjoy doing? First and foremost, if you don't enjoy doing the content, you can do it and you can make it work, but people can tell, right? It comes across in body language, in text, in everything. It comes across. So find something that you're enjoying, because it makes it a lot easier to do content on, especially if you're posting a lot. Some people say you can post one time a day, some 5 times a day, but just find value in what you're posting and enjoy the content, because otherwise it's a chore, right? And that's what I was finding with the make money online content that I was doing, at least. But then it's sort of understanding the fundamentals. You know, there's so many people saying so many different things. It's kind of hard to drown out the noise and focus in on one thing. So I found that, you know, I was just studying, you know, making sure that I was aware of what people in the similar space and pages were doing. You know, what sort of content were they making that was going viral? And then I would check it against other pages to see if they were doing something similar, right? So if those types of content are doing really well, what are the subcategories in there then? So for what I'm doing for lifestyle, you've got relationships that seem to do very well. You've got nostalgia potentially that can do quite well, and you've got aging that can do quite well. So from that, you can then work out, okay, so what within those categories are the subcategories, right? So within that, so with relationships, you know, it might be, you know, me arguing with my wife or having a bicker with my wife, or something along those lines might be doing a lot better than, you know, where it's all lovey-dovey, right? Because it creates sort of frictional content, and people can go, they can either agree with it or disagree with it, but either way they're commenting, right? Which drives engagement. So it's creating relatable content that can be shared and people understand and relate to. So that's it. It's just finding stuff that relates to people who are going through a similar situation. But it can be applied to any niche, right? So, you know, what you're just figuring out what works. Then you go, okay, so how can I recreate this? Is this something I would be able to do? Can I relate to this? If the answer is yes, and that particular piece of content is then, you know, doing really well across multiple accounts, you know, it might be worth trying. And if that doesn't work, then you sort of rinse and repeat the process. It's just a test. It's a test phase, right? You know, I was going from, as I said, 3 to 4K views consistently for 11 months. And now I would say, averaging every 4 days, 1 million view video. And, you know, consistently hitting 100,000 views. And it all happens quickly. But in the grand scheme of things, if you think 11 months, then no, it's happened very slowly. But it's just sort of narrowing down on a niche, find something you're interested in, and find what works. And then find what works for you. That's it.
Yeah. And I think the thing about content nowadays on social is that, you know, it doesn't have to be overproduced. There's two things that are coming up for me around this discussion. Number one is, don't try to overproduce your content. Don't try to be too slick, and don't try to be too perfect or professional. That's kind of thing number one. You really just need, you know, some good B-roll. You need to be able to you know, grab some good B-roll, and match that B-roll with whatever quote that you're kind of, or caption that you're putting on your video. You know, if you're talking about, as you say, some, you know, situations between you and your wife or at home, you know, you just really need to set up your phone and grab a clip of you walking through your house, you know, or sitting on your couch. You know, it just, you know, if you're talking about something that it has to do with something happening inside your home and you're filming yourself welding at work, that may not be the most ideal clip, right? But so you just you know, put your phone down. Now, do I need to go to Amazon and buy a tripod? Do I need to get microphones? No, you literally just set your phone down somewhere on a you know, a bottle of water, or lean it up against a vase or something like that, and just film the damn clip. And the clip's going to end up, you know, being, you know, 3 to 5 seconds, and you're going to just match that with whatever the caption is. And quite frankly, nowadays, you know, if you're doing the type of content that you're describing and that you're testing right now, you know, you can reuse the same 10 clips over and over again. I mean, it's not, you know, this is not rocket science. So it goes back to my point. Don't overproduce it. Don't overthink it. It's really basic. It's really simple stuff. Now, if you can get more creative, great. You know, that's fine. I think number two is building that bridge from whatever you're talking about to what it is that you're actually promoting and what your channel is about. So for example, this is a piece I want to delve in a little bit more with you about. If you are promoting make money online products, and you're creating clips on your profile about situations that are happening within your home with your spouse. For example, you were just given some examples of kind of some funny scenarios around your home that happen with your partner, right? How do you build the bridge? How do you build the bridge to connect those pieces of content when people begin to follow or like or share that video, and you begin to get those followers and begin to build that audience? How do you then build the bridge to connect that person who originally started following you about a kind of funny, random, lighthearted piece of content about something that's happening within your home? How do you build the bridge to introducing some sort of an online marketing or make money online course or product?
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much just going on my plan at the moment. So stage one for me was being able to get the analytics. That was number one, because that's pretty hard to do. Well, I've been struggling to do it up until the last month or so, and that was my phase one. Phase two would be obviously to build the following and to get eyeballs onto the relevant content. So now what I'm starting to do is I'm introducing content around the analytics that I have been able to get, right? So from there, those videos tend to do far lower views, but it tends to be the people that then have a need or want or have a desire around that specific content. They might be people looking to improve their analytics within their business page, or they might be looking to set up a business page or start a personal brand, that sort of thing. So that's where I'm going down, and then I'm going to basically offer and help people to audit their pages. How do I then make that, or how do I introduce what I've been doing to somebody else to help them to do the same thing? And from there, what I'll do is then I'll introduce the affiliate side of things, to say, look, I'm not going to be introducing or teaching you through the whole digital marketing process, as well as copywriting, as well as all of the other sides of the blueprints that, I don't have the time or want to spend teaching them to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus primarily on offering my expertise on being able to build out people's analytics and create content that gets seen. But the back end marketing side of things, I will refer to the affiliate program with Legendary. So that's how I'm going to bridge the gap between what I'm currently doing and where I will introduce affiliate marketing again.
Nice. And so, what should somebody be thinking about if they are creating a lot of content and it's not taking off? How so many people, and I've seen this. I've been actually meeting with and talking to some of our those who are interested in kind of partnering with our brand here over the last week or so. I've just been having some Zoom calls. I offered this last Wednesday, and one of the things that I've seen, and of course, I've worked with thousands of clients over the last many years, both, in group settings, but also one-on-one. And it's difficult for people to pivot, even when something's not working. Can you give us a little bit of a perspective from your seat about when is it time to pivot? When is it time to test something new? And how can you test something new? How do you test something new without, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and feeling like everything that you've done up until this point was just a waste? How do you pivot non-emotionally, and when do you know that it's time to begin to try something new? To talk to us about that process, because you certainly said that you had been trying certain things for quite a while, and now you're over the last month you're trying something new. If you were to take what you know now, also maybe add, what would you do differently? Would you pivot sooner? Talk to us about this whole idea of marketing is a test, and when do you begin to test something new?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sort of goes along with the phrase, how long's a piece of string? It
How
just
long
has
for
to.
what?
a piece of string,
Okay.
right? For me at least, I don't know if there is a right time, but if it's starting to feel like the wrong time, then I think it might be time to have a think about it, honestly. So, I mean, I had a similar situation when I decided to leave law. Right? I spent a large portion of my life trying to get into that industry, and I've spent the last year doing MMO content, and I sort of had the same feeling, right? It just didn't feel like it was the right thing for me to be doing anymore. But I didn't want to give up on everything because I still really wanted to be within the digital marketing space because it's something that I've really enjoyed. I've enjoyed learning about it, and I'll enjoy teaching people about it, if I get the chance to. It's not about throwing away what you've learned. It's about implementing that into something else, right? So this wasn't particularly working. So the MMO content wasn't particularly working for me, but I didn't want to give up on affiliate marketing or digital marketing. Still interested in it, still highly, motivated to continue within that industry. But at that moment in time, MMO wasn't working for me. So I then implemented what I already knew into something else. You're not throwing the cat out the bag. You're just using the information you already have to then transfer it into something else. And then if that one didn't, if what I was doing now didn't work, then I would give it, I'd say, an A/B test of maybe 6 months. And if that didn't work, then I'd shift again. What am I interested in? What can I make that's relatable to other people? And what services might I potentially be able to add to that person? How can I add value to somebody else with what I know?
Yeah. And, I want to just do a quick shameless plug here real quick. We have been offering and launched an accountability program just for people who feel like they have the information or at least enough information to be dangerous, but are not executing on that information. And oftentimes that can be similar with going to the gym. It's like, what you need to be doing, but you're not doing it. How much of life is like that? You know what you need to be doing, but you're not doing it. And so if you would like to hear about our accountability coaching program that is mainly focused on holding you accountable, holding you accountable to do the things that you need to be doing, and or, of course, teaching you new things, giving you suggestions to try new strategies. We have our best executive coaches available for this particular program, and we'll give you a free call to give you ideas about accountability and also to give you information about the program so you can decide if it's something that you need or want inside of your business right now. It's a 6-month program, and our goal is to have you at the end of the 6 months not need us anymore, right? So if you want, you can email me at dave@legendarymarketer.com with the word accountability in the subject line, and I'll hook you up with a coach to give you a free call so you can learn about that. And whether you decide to move forward or not, we'll make it, or try to make it, the most valuable call that you've had all year, especially around your business. And so back into this conversation after the shameless plug. I'm a marketer. I have to let those know what I have that can benefit them. And this certainly is a group that is going crazy and highly excited right now. And I'm really excited about the program as well. So got to plug it. But anyways, back over to this conversation. I love your answer, man, because you basically just kind of described the mindset that you need to have in order to be successful. And that is that, okay, I'm trying something for a little while doesn't mean that the whole thing that I'm trying sucks or is not going to work or I'm going to be a failure. It means that I need to make an adjustment in my approach. Right? I cannot tell you, my friends, how many times, and I've been in the make money online or online marketing space for 15 years, how many campaigns, how many approaches I've used that didn't work, that was total tumbleweeds, that was total absolute just ghost town. And if I would have taken that data or that feedback and used it as, will this work or not? Is this business legitimate and viable or not? I would have missed out on millions. But instead, I was like, well, that approach didn't work. It's sort of like marketing your business is sort of like parenting your children, right? If your kid is having a tough time, or just any sort of situation in your kid's life, you're not going to go to them one time and they say, I don't want to hear that right now, Dad. That's just not, don't, that makes me more mad when you say that to me. Get out of here. I don't like you. Are you going to just walk out of the house and say, all right, he doesn't need me, I'm not going to be his dad anymore? No, you're going to walk out of the room and go, hopefully you're going to walk out of the room and go, okay, that didn't work. That approach didn't work. You probably do it with your partner, right? I mean, you were talking about the arguments or whatever is going, I mean, basic relationship stuff. You don't go to your spouse and have a conversation that blows up into an argument one time and go, well, I guess this isn't going to work. I'm out of here, packing my shit. Yeah, hopefully we go, that approach didn't work, right? And we try a different approach. And yet with our businesses, sometimes we become one-trick ponies and throw the baby out with the bathwater because one particular approach didn't work. Or even worse, which is creating our own misery, we try the same damn thing over and over again, expecting a different result, which is insanity. And you need to be flexible. You need to be able to adjust along the way without taking it personally and without getting all in your feelings about it and beating yourself up. What are some of the limiting beliefs or potential emotional or mental landmines or sand traps that you've noticed along the way that you needed to build a bridge over or make sure that you didn't fall into as you were kind of building in the launch phase of getting your business off the ground?
Well, I mean, actually, I think working in sales gives you very good indication of being able to take rejection, right? It's just part of the course, right? You need to just be able to take it, not take it personally, and treat it as the business it is, right? When I first started a year ago, I created a community with a lot of like-minded people who were doing a similar thing. And I think now, a year on, I think 99% of the people that I started with have given up completely, right? You never know when it might work, right? So there's a similarity here in the UK. I don't know how much. So the Dyson Hoover, the first bagless Hoover, right? James Dyson spent 5 years, 5,127 prototypes before he got it right. How many people would say, right, after 100, if it wasn't working, it's never going to work, and give up? Over 5,000 attempts before he got it right, and now he's a billionaire. It's just time in the seat. That's it. There's no special sauce. It's just keep going, get knocked down, get back up, keep going. There's no secret sauce. There's not something that somebody's doing that you might not be. Consistency. That's it. Just get in the seat and do the work.
That was an amazing analogy, man. I mean, that you ought to make a video out of that, man. I mean, that was really, really good. And it's like that with every billionaire, man. It's like that with every millionaire, damn near. $1 million is not as much as it used to be. So there's more millionaires. I saw a stat that there was just under, I don't know if it was every day, but 17 or 1,800 millionaires being made every day or something like that. Again, fact check me on that, but lot more millionaires being created these days than there used to be. Billion is a different animal, but it's like that story is so common, man. That the uncommon story, the almost non-existent story is they tried one time and crushed it and never looked back.
Yeah.
That's called the one-hit wonder, man. And that is very, obviously it's common in music, but it's uncommon in business, right? I mean, it's just, I don't know anybody. I really don't. I don't know anybody who one shot, one try to the moon.
But the problem that lies with that is that the people that do that don't know how they did it. right? If you can't dissect how you got there, how can you replicate it?
Yeah.
How can you scale that? The whole point is you have to fail to learn what you did wrong to know what you need to do right. Then you can scale it and you can grow organically. But if you succeed immediately, you almost shoot yourself in the foot because you have no idea and you create a false perception of how this is going to go.
Yeah. No doubt, man. No doubt. Very, very true. It's almost like being given, you hear about, I mean, an example of that would be like somebody winning the lotto, right? And it's like they're broke. Like there's a lot of statistics that have come out over the years about people who won the lotto who ended up broke very shortly after. And same concept, right? Just didn't really earn it, didn't really know how to keep it. And so, this mindset, friends, as much as the strategy is important, much of what is the larger piece of the iceberg that you're not paying attention to is this mindset that, you need to be able to deal with rejection, and rejection in business, it's not as personal as rejection in relationships. So it shouldn't be that hard, right? But for whatever reason, we make it that hard because we personalize it. And there's nothing personal about business, unless you make it personal, right? I mean, especially nowadays on the internet, you're posting videos. Yes, I know it feels personal because you're putting yourself in the thing, but it's really not. People's attention spans are literally a goldfish's attention span is, I believe, 8 seconds. Our attention spans are now on average 7 seconds. So we literally have attention spans shorter than goldfish. It's if they're not watching your content or they're not engaging with it or they're not moving through it's really not an attack on you. It's just they just scroll and it didn't tickle their fancy. It just, you could come back, same face, same everything, with a slightly different approach, and they love you for it. And this has happened in show business tons of times. I mean, where somebody will go up with a certain performance and it just flops and they try and try and try again, right? Comedians, this happens to all the time. They tell jokes for 10 years and then finally they do something that catches people's attention after a decade and they become famous, right? Or one performance or one video. I mean, and look at it nowadays. I mean, I can't help but we gotta talk about it because it just recently happened and it just is stupid. It's dumb. The Hawk Tua girl, right? Literally talking about spitting on genitals. Think about this for a second. That, for any of you who don't know what that's about, that's what that was about. The guy asked her, "What's your favorite move in the bedroom?" And she said, "You got a Hawk Tua, spit on that thing." I mean, come on. There's nothing that is intelligent. There's nothing that is, anybody could have done that, but it was just the way that she said it. And it was just, people liked it. Guys were like, yeah. Chicks were probably like, I can't believe it, but we'll go with it, right? I mean, I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, people liked it and it took off. There's no rhyme or reason. So stop taking things so personally and just keep trying different stuff. What's your reaction to the phenomenon of the Hawk Tua girl and where we're at in terms of just how this plays into people? It's not personal. It really is just business. And it's just what people like in that moment before they move on to the next thing 7 seconds later.
Well, I mean, that's it. She caught the attention at the right time. It hit all the right notes and it went astronomically viral. It went global. Everybody now you can pretty much say that to, and they would have an understanding of what you mean. But the thing that I wanted to know when it initially happened was whether or not she was going to capitalize on it. And she did. She made about 70 grand in the first couple of days. It was insane. That was the first thing I wanted to know, because you've got that many eyeballs. It's so hard to get that many eyeballs, right? You might not be proud of what you did, but it's already out there. It's not going away. How do you make the most out of the situation? And she did. She created merch. She gained hundreds of thousands of followers. Sorry. And she made the most of it. And that's the thing that I was more interested in. Because once it's done, I think it looked like she was probably drunk on a night out in the video, So what are the repercussions, right? Maybe a bit of embarrassment, but when you can say, this is the same thing when it comes to posting online, right? It doesn't matter. Who cares, right? Yeah. And the video is already there. People are already doing it. Why not join in and make the most of it? Because that's all it comes down to. If you can get that many eyeballs on, I mean, the sky's the limit. All she now needs to do is learn the fundamentals of digital marketing, and she's already got 2 million followers or something, So she's created something from nothing. And that's one of those moments where, it was unintentional that she gained that many followers and that much, I guess short-term fame. But how do you keep that?
Yeah.
What do you do to capitalize?
She may turn that into long-time fame. And Kim Ballum noted, I'll never ask you about Hawk to a Girl Live. Legend. Good to see you today. I'm thinking also about the Catch Me Outside girl, who went on Dr. Phil. God, must have been 10 years ago. I don't even know if you saw this one, but she was like, right? Okay. It's all you got to say is Catch Me Outside. Yeah. And somebody remembers it. That's all she did. She was on Dr. Phil for being a bad kid. And then basically she, said something either to Dr. Phil or the audience, like, catch me outside, like calling him outside, like to come out there and fight. Like, here I am, you can tell I'm an old guy. I'm sitting here explaining something, that's very viral and very well understood. But anyways, last I heard, she was making $50 million a year, man. Off of her, she had, she created an OnlyFans, and she did this and she did that, and she, kind of capitalized on her virality. And so I think that's one of the things to keep in mind here, friends, is that you may not know going into it what's going to catch on. That's why you really need to try a bunch of different stuff. And then once something does catch on and begins to go viral, you need to ask yourself, or begins to work, how can I capitalize on that? How can I duplicate that? How can I, if you have a specific type of video or a format or a theme to a specific type of video, then and it takes off and people love it, that gives you clues as to what people may like. You double down on that. You capitalize on that. Luck is a combination of opportunity and preparation and being able to capitalize on it. You prepare, just like you were talking about, Jas. How did she monetize it, right? You need to be ready to monetize it when it blows up, when you blow up. But like that opportunity is, I'm going to keep posting and trying different stuff. And somebody asked earlier in the show, when do you know that it's time to try something new? How about daily? How about every week? How about constantly? You're constantly trying new stuff. That doesn't mean that you need to completely shift gears where something is totally different than what you've been doing, and it takes a long time to pivot. But just, you're constantly changing and trying new things. I mean, I think if I was to wave my magic marketing wand at everybody and say, this is one thing that I want everybody to get, it's that there's no rules to this. We're giving you some best practices. Any educator, any marketer that's teaching this stuff is giving you some best practices. Folks, this is not math. It's not science. You're not going to put an exact amount of potion into the Pyrex science thing, and if you do just a millimeter more, it's going to blow up in your face. No, this is more art. This is your testing stuff. We're giving you some best practices. We're giving you what's worked well for us. You need to build on that. You need to make it your own. A lot of marketing is taking inspiration from other things that you see and making it your own. That is the world that we live in nowadays with memes. When somebody puts a meme out onto the internet, it's almost like throwing something out to the wolves, a piece of meat for the wolves. That thing is going to get shared by tons of people. People are going to screenshot it. People are going to video screenshot it and pass that video around. They're going to post it on their own account. That's the world we live in right now. And so you need to be ready to do what I'm saying here. Josh, what comes up for you around this rant here?
So I've touched on it briefly. Yes, just figuring out what works for you, right? I've done multiple things over multiple industries, and I just guess not settling on something just because, right? Like, again, I tried the MMO, and if it had worked, I would have definitely continued with it. But actually, what I've learned through swapping and doing what I'm doing now, I think I would actually be able to now go back to the MMO stuff and make it work. Right? I've learned the fundamental processes of how to make content, what makes it work, so that actually I could now apply this to any niche. Right? The fundamentals are exactly the same, but it took changing and actually enjoying the content that I was making to understand what I was doing. So had I stayed, I wouldn't have figured it out, or at least in the time frame I was thinking of, like, in the last month that I've been doing this. So, it's capitalizing on what works. How do you make it your own? And do you enjoy it? Nobody wants to not enjoy. I mean, if I didn't want to enjoy what I was doing, I'd stay in my 9 to 5.
What have you learned about yourself throughout this process, brother?
Oh, that's a hard hitter. I don't know. I've always had quite a big tenacity for things, right? I set my goals too high, right? And that's one of the biggest things that I've actually always done. Because even if you achieve 50% of that, that's still a good achievement, right? But then it also keeps you striving and wanting more. I think as soon as you start to say, oh, I'm there, I'm done. It's the same with education, same with learning. Then you're almost setting yourself up for failure. You constantly need to keep striving. How can I get better? What books do I need to read? Who knows more than me? How do I hang out with people who have higher aspirations, who have higher net worth, who have better networking capability? Like, how do I learn as much from other people as I can, whilst also simultaneously providing value to the people that I can, right? Because as you've done, you've been super successful with what you're doing, but you get a lot of fulfillment from helping other people, achieve some semblance of that, right? There's a lot of joy to be had in helping people, and if you have expertise in something, double down on it. And then that's it. That's all I'm trying to do is, build a life for myself that I truly wake up every day and go, yeah, this is really what I wanted to be doing. Right? I didn't find that in law. I was working, crazy hours, getting paid very little, and I didn't spend much time with my family. How do I then, in 10 years' time, I see my goal as being more family orientated. How do I then set about to achieve that? What brings you joy? First and foremost, what do you know about that can help you bring joy, and share that with people. Hopefully they'll enjoy it too.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Great show this morning. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your effort and your work to, be able to come on and share this wisdom that you've shared with us this morning, brother. It's a real exciting honor, and I can't wait to continue to catch up with you on your journey, brother, and track your progress and have you come back and continue to share more nuggets with us. Be legendary, my friend, and thanks for coming on. Of course, I know it's moving up into the evening over there in the UK right now, so thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for having me on.
All right, Josh, talk to you later, brother.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, my friends, great show. You can find Jas over at Everyday Life with Jas _ Everyday Life with Jas _ over on Instagram. My friends, great examples in story here of what's possible when you try different things. So much wisdom shared in the simple answers that Jas gave today. This is not a complicated game, but it's something that requires a strong mindset and a tenacious heart. You have to, be willing to try and test and deal with the rejection, although it's not personal. So don't take it personal. Every rejection, every no is feedback. It's not failure. It's just feedback. Okay, keep trying different. Keep trying something different. You got to treat your business like you treat your children. You would never, or your spouse. You wouldn't just give up because one particular approach didn't work. You keep trying. You keep working. It's all a work in progress. And one powerful story that was shared about the Dyson vacuum cleaner and the 5,000 rejections, and now the guy's a billionaire. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. You know, the baseball player takes thousands of swings in practice and then thousands of swings to get those 30 home runs in a year or 60 home runs in a year, whatever they. I mean, it's all about the swings. It's all about the approaches. So take the swings, but don't take it personally. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode, my friends. Get started with our challenge, our blueprints, or our mastermind by going to legendarymarketer.com/enroll, legendarymarketer.com/enroll. And if you want to get a notification at 10 a.m. Eastern time when we go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, you can click the link inside of the comments that I'm posting right now. It's legendarymarketer.com/WUL. legendarymarketer.com/WUL. I'm posting in the comments right now. You can join our notification list right here on Facebook. Last but not least, beware of scammers and slimy, snake oil salesmen and actual scammers out there on the internet who are direct messaging you, posing as, people that maybe you would want to talk to. It's not them. It's not us. There's a lot of imposters out there. So be careful. Be careful who you respond to. Stay focused, unsubscribe from list, focus on what you're doing, and don't give up until you make it and your miracle happens, my friends. That miracle can simply be the confidence that's built within you, the first leads or commissions that happen within your business. But it will work if you work it. You got to work it. All right, my friends. Thank you, Jas, again for an amazing episode. Lots of feedback. Thank you guys for the awesome support. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here. Peace.